And welcome back. This is your man Warrior. This is another patron roster review. And if you are seeing this, you are subscribed to my new channel. So awesome on you. Make sure you share this with others so they can know where the roster reviews have disappeared to. Now, Boogaloo Kid. Boogaloo Kid is from Jenkuween, I guess. Jenkuween. Kind of like Tatooine, but Jenkuween. Boogaloo Kid, you're doing really well. You're top 100 in arena. You're also top 100 in ships, but you definitely have a lot of options and things. Now, you did overload me a little bit, I'll be honest. You had me a bit stressed out when you gave me your list. You know, you really wanted to know all the ships you need to focus on, and tunes specific you need to focus on, and CLS and BB-8 coming back and working on them, and arena and Zetas, and who you're going to Zeta in gear 12. Which ones should you gear 12 and 9 be dark side territory battles and dark side territory battles? Oh, wow. The list was long, and I was trying to figure out how am I going to get all of this in a short video. But the truth be told, after I went through it all, a lot of the answers solved multiple problems. And so we're going to get right into it. So the first thing is you're going to get BB-8. I've already looked. You've got the characters and the levels. You're going to get him when he comes back around, which will be soon. You'll also get CLS very soon. You have the characters and them leveled up to be able to get them. You said that you wanted to get BB-8 and you were worried. Well, I will tell you, if you are trying on that event and cannot pass it, you could throw your Zeta that you have sitting on Kylo Ren, and that will be a guaranteed pass. So if you are desperate to get BB-8 and cannot get through that event with what you have, you could throw the Zeta on him, but do not do that until you failed 40 or 50 times with the RNG on the battles. Now let's go right into arena. You did mention that you're going to get CLS very soon, and so you wanted to know kind of what you should possibly be working towards. And I, of course, would say that for the team you have and what you're working on, I would probably go ahead and do CLS as the lead, and then I would probably put in Raid Han in place of the Biggs. And I know that your Raid Han is not very high. He's 5 stars, gear 9, so I would definitely focus on getting him higher than gear 9, but he is a far better attacker than Biggs or Wedge, and you already have done his Zeta on his shoots first, and so now that you've gone in on the Zeta, you really need to go in on the gear. Also, I noticed you have by R2-D2 Grand Admiral Thrawn, gear 9. Grand Admiral Thrawn has the Fracture, which is the single best ability in the game, in my opinion. He also has ability block on his base, and he can regenerate a ton of protection. Now on the top row, I do notice that you have Old Ben at gear 11. Old Ben is, in my opinion, the best tank in the game to replace General Kenobi if you do not have General Kenobi. So your team would look like this. You would have CLS in the lead. You'd have R2-D2 and Old Ben to the left and right. R2-D2 and Old Ben combined are phenomenal because R2-D2 boosts so much with Old Ben, and Old Ben has a high armor rate. He really compresses the damage that he takes. So with him, the CLS, R2, and Old Ben, you've got the defense there. And then you're going to have Raid Han and Thrawn on this team, so you can have that. Now what this leads to is you're going to need to Zeta these characters' uniques first on this team, and then second, you're going to want to make sure these are all gear 12 because they're in arena. Now I know you didn't waste your gear 12 on Wedge and Biggs. They're going to be usable in other areas of the game, but I would, when you get CLS unlocked very soon, evolve him into your leadership role, and then R2-D2, Old Ben, Raid Han, and Thrawn, getting all of them to gear 12, and Zeta everybody's uniques when you get a chance to Zeta those uniques. Now let's move to ships. Looking at ships, I was a bit confused because you do have a 7-star endurance, and I'm guessing because it's 7-star, you've got that last ship capable that you can slot in, and so I'm guessing that's why you've chosen that, and you're doing well, but I want you to play around with another team. Now, the team I'm going to give you may not be ready, so you may need to use this team right here. So save in your memory banks what this team looks like, so that way this can kind of be your go-to team if the team I suggest fails. But the team I'm going to suggest is 100 times better than the team you're using now. So if it doesn't work better than the team you have now, it only makes apparent that you need to get these characters and ships geared up and leveled up. So let's get right into it. So immediately, the first thing I see is you have a 5-star Chimera, and a 5 or 6-star Chimera has 3 slots open in the back. And with the Chimera, you don't even need the last 2 slots. So you don't even need a 6 or a 7-star Chimera for it to be effective. It is hands down, definitively the single best ship in the game as far as capital ships of all 4 of them. So I would highly recommend running the Chimera, definitely. Also, make sure that you're going to gear and star all these characters and ships that I make suggestions for. So when you write these down, make sure that you're working on all the pilots. Now, obviously, Biggs is gear 12 and you have him 7-star, and he works great in a target lock team. You're also, for durability, going to put in the Umbaran Starfighter. I know that this is something I kind of strayed from. Normally I used to do this, and then I used to tell people to put it in the backup, and now I'm telling you to put it back in the front lineup. It really depends on what ships you guys have available as to why I'm telling you to do those things, but the Umbaran Starfighter will bring a little bit more durability to the front 5 because you only have a 5-star Chimera. And the thing is, you really want the Chimera to last long enough to be able to use his ultimate ability, which is going to basically win you the game. So you want to make sure that you have a little bit more durability on that front line. Of course, you're also going to want to use the First Order TIE Fighter. You have him sort of good. Gear 8 is okay, but you want to take him up higher because the strafing ability is phenomenal, and you can't get that up without the character's gear level going up. So make sure that you take that up as well. I also notice way down here the Imperial TIE Fighter is being sort of worked on. You definitely want to get him, and this is a really quick farm, by the way, on the Imperial TIE Fighter, but this particular ship might have to wait until after the whole Ray event, so make sure that you kind of put this on the back burner, but don't forget about it. You definitely want the Imperial TIE Fighter, both the ship and the abilities, completely maxed out. Take this ship to 7 stars, take the pilot to 7 stars, and put him in your initial 5 lineup when he's ready. And the last in the initial 5 lineup is the TIE Reaper. Now, a lot of people want to know, is this ship even viable at 3 stars? And the answer is absolutely, but you do need to take it up to level 85, and you are going to need to take its abilities up as high as you possibly can. Now, to the left, you have both pilots 7-star, gear 8 and 9, or sorry, gear 7 and 8 respectively, and you were going to have to continue to gear them up. Now, with gearing them up, it's actually going to help you with your Imperial Troopers, who are going to help you with your dark side team. And so this is 2 birds, 1 stone. These are 2 characters that are highly usable in the game in many different facets, including territory battles. But this is the singular best ship in the game, so you want to make sure that you're starring this up as fast as you can. And you're almost to 4 stars on this ship anyway, and at 4 stars it becomes even more viable. I have used this ship since the 3-star inception, and I'm telling you, it is a game changer. So on the initial 5, we've got obviously your Chimera, and then we have Biggs, Umbaran Starfighter, First Order TIE Fighter, the TIE Reaper, and the Imperial TIE Fighter. One ship I notice you are completely and utterly missing is the TIE Advanced. I do not see the TIE Advanced in here anywhere, and I was a bit taken back that you haven't made any effort to farm the TIE Advanced, because the TIE Advanced is the #1 best target lock ship in the game, with applying target lock and refusing to let any of the target lock on the opposing team be cleansed. It really helps with a target lock team. So if you were going to be farming or focusing on one particular ship, I would highly recommend, aside from the initial 5 lineup I told you about, definitely start farming the TIE Advanced. You have Darth Vader leveled up, so the ship only makes sense. For your back 3, I would have Slave 1 in your backup. That way when he comes in, he'll be able to use his AoE, and he also applies target lock on his basic. Plus he has Seismic Charge, which will do lots of damage to their health because it ignores the armor and protection and goes straight to health. So pretty cool ability. And then the next 2 actually come out of the second row, and I know a lot of people are like, why would you suggest this? But these are actually good ships, and that is the Phantom 2 and then the Ghost. The Phantom 2 applies target lock on up to 2 characters in one fell swoop, and the Ghost and the Phantom 2 have a ton of synergy together. Both are pretty tanky and are decent ships and do decent damage, so these would be great ships to kind of follow in after Slave 1. And by the time they're coming in, you're probably going to be using the ultimate ability on Chimera's ship and smoking your opponents anyway. So this a team that I'm suggesting, again, you have a lot of work with these pilots. You have a lot of work with the ships to gear them up, star them up, get the abilities up. But if you do it, you're going to find yourself having more success in the ship's arena. Now, you did also mention that you've been trying to do the dark side hard node 9B, and you really wanted to know how to get that. And you have all the tools you need. You just might not have enough gear on these characters. And these characters, all of them will be usable in the dark side territory battles. And the lead I would use, because of all of the turn meter gain that you're going to get with it, will be Emperor Palpatine. You're definitely going to want to take him from gear 8 to gear 9, get his Let the Hate Flow finished off, and he is awesome. Every time the other characters on your team apply debuffs, and this is going to be a debuff heavy team, it's going to speed the entire team up. They're going to get more turns, more turn meters. So Emperor Palpatine would be your lead. Then I would use Darth Vader. Darth Vader under Emperor Palpatine is actually terrifying. He can apply tons of debuffs and get lots of extra turns, especially if he gets a killing shot on his culling blade. He can go up to 3 times in a row under Emperor Palpatine if he gets that killing shot with his culling blade. And then also Darth Nihilus is 7-star gear 8. Darth Nihilus at 7-star gear 8, you've got lots of great abilities like Annihilate, and he is just super tanky. He should be able to last even at gear 8. Of course, you have Grand Admiral Thrawn next to him, and Grand Admiral Thrawn is phenomenal for Darkside. You have him 7-star, and you've got the Fracture ability. This should be able to allow you to fracture key resistance characters on that 9B node. That should allow you to kind of get through that. So those top 4, and then for your 5th, I would actually suggest Shore Trooper, and the reason for that is he is going to constantly be putting up crit hit immunity, which is going to help the durability of your team. He's going to apply an auto taunt at the beginning to keep your Emperor Palpatine and others safe. He's also going to be able to heal everybody on the team, and anytime you're using Grand Admiral Thrawn, you should be using Shore Trooper. Those two are amazing. Put as much protection as you can on Shore Trooper, and every chance you get with Grand Admiral Thrawn, use his protection and cleansing ability on Shore Trooper to cleanse Shore Trooper and to regenerate his protection. That combination between Shore Trooper and Grand Admiral Thrawn should be the key to get you through 9B. So the next thing is you want to know who you should be gearing up for the dark side territory battles. And so we're going to give you a couple of characters and a couple of locations. Just know that these are all characters that you can kind of passively work on over the next few months and try to make these teams better. So the first is bounty hunters, and you can compete with these, but they're not obviously going to do very well. But they're going to be rebalancing the dark side territory battles, and I hope after that this team will be more viable. I would definitely ignore Greedo because you just have not done anything with him, but Zam Wesell under Boba Fett is really good, and Dengar is a great character with a lot of his debuffs, and so I would go ahead and 7-star both of those characters and get them up to gear 7 to match Cad Bane, and then work on all 5 of them, getting them up to gear 9 and kind of work that direction. So Zam and Dengar are definitely kind of top priorities in this particular setup, and the reason for these guys is obviously, again, there is bounty hunters required on certain nodes in the dark side territory battles. I would definitely focus on the TIE Fighter pilot. He's Empire, so he's going to help you with those Empire-only nodes. He's also a pilot, and I've already recommended his ship, and so if you're going to do his ship, you need to get him from gear 8 higher, level up his attacks and abilities, and for the love of God, put some mods on him. Even if you're not using him, put some 5-dot mods on him. It will really help power up his ship. And they don't even have to match if you're not using him in any other battles. But if you're going to use him in the dark side territory battles like I'm suggesting, make the mods make sense. Crit chance, crit damage, or straight offense mods, whichever you prefer, whichever you can get your hands on, and get him up. But put some 5-dot mods on this guy and level him up to 7 stars, get his attacks and abilities maxed out, and get his ship up as well. I'm going to start to sound like a broken record with all of these roster reviews because for all the dark side territory battles that everybody's asking me about, I keep going back to the Imperial Troopers, and they were reworked about 6 months ago, and nobody really took much note of them. However, now that the dark side territory battles are out, there's a specific node requiring them, and they're Empire, and so it helps with multiple nodes all the way through all 6, and in my opinion, they are the second best team for Darkside Territory battles. And yes, General Veers is going to be the lead, and you will at some point want to do Aggressive Tactician, his unique. You'll want to Zeta that. Of course, if you're picking out of this team and you're wondering who should I do because I have them all, my suggestion would be General Veers, Shore Trooper, Snow Trooper, Death Trooper, and if you have to use one of the other two, I would use Storm Trooper over Magma Trooper. But if it's not a specific Imperial Trooper node and it's just a Darkside node or an Empire node, I would actually throw Director Krennic in with the top 4. So if we look at your Director Krennic, you can see you only have him 5 stars, level 38, and so that is one of those characters in the Empire, just like the TIE Fighter pilot, that you may in fact want to focus on and get leveled up. He works very well with the Death Trooper, and on a non-specific team for Darkside or Empire specific, you'll be able to use Director Krennic with the Death Trooper. Also, to kind of give you a second team for the Darkside Territory battles, you have, and this is probably your best team currently for Darkside Territory battles, is the Sith. And if you're going to run the Sith, I would recommend that you probably run Emperor Palpatine or Darth Nihilus as the lead. Darth Nihilus lead has to be Zated, in my opinion, to give him the durability to make it through, but Emperor Palpatine just works better, especially if your guild is having a hard time with all of the platooning, because if you can't do all the platoons, you're going to get hit with the aerial bombardment, and that is going to destroy your team under Darth Nihilus. Emperor Palpatine, it will be less of an effect. So Emperor Palpatine definitely, but I would continue to develop this team. Why? Because this is going to be a team that's going to be one of your go-tos for the Darkside Territory battles, but this is a little bit less important than obviously Zam and Dengar, as well as the TIE Fighter pilot and your Imperial Troopers. The Imperial Troopers I would really make your #1 priority for the Darkside Territory battles. And then for the side, on the side, I know that I mentioned that you will probably want to try and go for Rey, just like everybody. And even if you don't get her this time around, you definitely want to have the tools for picking her up the next time she comes out in the next 4 to 6 months. So I would definitely recommend Veteran Smuggler Han and Chewie. You looks like you're already focused on them. You've got them both 5-star, which means you've probably been farming them up. So definitely keep going. You only got a couple stars left. I say only, and that's almost 400. It's like 360 character shards. That's a ton, but I would definitely work on those, make them the top priority over everything I've given you right now, as far as your Cantina energy is concerned. And you definitely want to try and see if you can get them to gear 7 if possible. Gear 7 really, in my opinion, would probably be the lowest. Remember, all of the gear gives you a ton of speed, potency, health, protection, things like that you need, so make sure that you're adding those things to those characters to beef them up. Also, you should be able to get your BB-8 to 7 stars before the Rey event. You have Rey and you have Finn, so it looks like as long as you're able to get those 2 veterans up, you should be able to get the new Rey. And if BB-8 comes out before Rey, and I think he will, this is your team. You've got it. It looks really, really well. If you are having trouble with the top 5 passing the BB-8 7th star round, you will probably want to drop a Zeta on Kylo. Again, I've already mentioned this once in the video, but if you find yourself still struggling to get through the BB-8 to get that 7th node or 7th star, you could drop a Zeta on Outrage, and that would be probably what it takes to get through that. Even if you only 1-star it, they'll get your last star for BB-8 for Rey. All right, Boogaloo Kid, I think you're doing really, really well. Once you get your CLS, you're going to move him into your main arena. You're probably going to put Raid Han in at the same time. Drop in, you got Old Ben and R2-D2 and drop Thrawn in there. Or instead of Thrawn, you could keep your Barriss Offee for sure. With ships, I would eventually evolve over to the Chimera. I would use Biggs, Umbaran Starfighter, First Order TIE Fighter, the TIE Reaper, and the Imperial TIE Fighter, having the Slave One, Phantom, and Ghost in the background. But you have no TIE Advanced, so farm that bad boy up. For 9B, I would use Emperor Palpatine, Darth Vader, Darth Nihilus, Grand Admiral Thrawn and Shore Trooper. Between Grand Admiral Thrawn and Shore Trooper, you should be able to get through it. But at the end of the day, if you can't beat it, you're going to have to gear those characters up, and they're all viable in Darkside Territory battles. And lastly, you want to get those vets up. Really important to get those vets up so you can get the new Rey, and then work on Zam, Dengar, TIE Fighter Pilot, your Imperial Troopers, because they're going to be MVP. Also, you could drop a Zeta on Veers, and then also continue to gear up your Sith, because they're going to be a staple for the Darkside Territory battles. I hope this helps you figure out your focus in the game. I know focus is really the biggest thing. I'm not sure if I mentioned, but Boogaloo Kid is a Dolphin, been playing for about 9 months. So I hope for other people who have been in this game for about 9 months, they can look at this and see kind of what's possible, because Boogaloo's done a lot in the last 9 months for only being a Dolphin. As always, if you have ideas for Boogaloo Kid, go ahead and leave them in the comments down below. And as always, keep your gaming on. Warrior out.